Is Ruby Gillman a cracking good time or something that just stay at the bottom of the ocean? Let's talk about it now. Hey everyone, this is David Stark from Watch Your Past. I'm here to talk to you about Ruby Gillman Teenage Kraken, which is coming to theaters on June 30th, 2023. It is the latest DreamWorks animation film from the studio that brought you Shrek and How to Train Your Dragon. It is a cute film. It's about a young teenager whose family is a little bit different, and she discovers that that difference is a very, very big deal. So, my hot take is I think you should watch it. Look, it's a cute overall film. It has some really beautiful animation and some really great music and a nice kind of like teenage angst punk aesthetic to it. And one of the things I didn't like, it's a little bit predictable, and the ending is it's just okay. But overall, look, it's a fun film. It's a family-friendly film. It is definitely a film that you can take your kids to, and they will like it. For kids, there's a few kind of like scary moments and a little bit of rude humor, but overall, I thought it was fun. I took my kids to it. They really liked it, and I bet your kids will too. So I'm gonna tell you a little more about the film, a few things I liked, a few things I didn't like, and go into the ending. So as you can imagine, there'll be spoilers in the ending section. If you don't want to know what happens in this movie, I would turn it off when I get to the ending. Before that, I'll keep it vague. I'll keep it spoiler free. And I'll let you know when I get to those spoilers. So in Ruby Gillman Teenage Kraken, you have Ruby, who is a teenager and a Kraken, right? It makes sense with the title. Her family is living on land. They're living in this oceanside town, and they're just trying to blend in. They are all Krakens. They all look a little bit different. They look like kind of like snorks a little bit. They're trying to blend in. Their skin's blue though, and they are definitely eating like seafood and things like that. But for all intents and purposes, they are trying to be human. But when Ruby doesn't listen to her mom's warning about always staying away from the water, that changes her life and the rest of her family's life forever. So, things I liked about this movie. The first, look, I like the animation. It is beautiful. It is really, really well done. Like, it's a DreamWorks animation movie. You know it's going to be pretty good, but this is kind of another level. It has this really bright, beautiful style. It has this really kind of like beautiful look to it. There's a lot of colors. There's a lot of just like really intricate looking animation. And they have a character who gets wet a lot. And so you have on top of the normal animation effects, like wet effects and how that kind of affects the skin and how it looks. It is really, really beautiful animation. It's really nice looking. And it also is like a nice family-friendly type of style. Like you have exaggerated characters, but they all look beautiful while you're doing it. Related note, the second thing I love the style. What I really liked about this film is that the style looks almost like stop motion. Ruby's character has like, tentacles for hair, although she kind of blends them in. And it looks really like, it has a really nice kind of depth to it. It really does look like a stop motion animation film at times. And I was really kind of struck by just how nice and detailed it looked. And on top of that, it has a really bright, colorful style. The town has a ton of different colors. Like all the houses are very different, bright colors. It's a very kind of sunny area. Also at night, because of some of the things that happen, there's a lot of really beautiful lights, like a lot of really beautiful colored lighting that also shines through. So you get kind of a really nice bright aesthetic during the day and then a really nice bright aesthetic at night. The third thing I liked, look, it's pretty funny. It definitely is not laugh out loud. It's not like a crazy amount of humor, but there are enough jokes here. There's enough silly situations that it will keep you and your kids entertained. There's enough in here also for adults. There's a lot of funny jokes here that adults will get and that they will appreciate to help keep you engaged as well, which I really like. There's a really funny joke about where the family says they're from that I thought was really funny. There's a lot of like references throughout the movie that were really clever. And so I think it's definitely a movie that the whole family can enjoy. And the last thing I like the music. You've got a nice kind of punk and pop soundtrack. I mean, it's about a teenager, it's about some teenage angst, and the soundtrack definitely helps with that. Like when she is overwhelmed or when she's getting a little angry, there's a nice kind of like punk soundtrack to it. And when she is experiencing some new things, some beautiful new things, there's a nice kind of like pop music that'll help project that wonder that she's feeling. That being said, things I didn't like as much about this movie. The first, it's a little bit predictable. Like the story is good, the story is decent, but you can kind of figure out where it's going to go about halfway through. And, it wasn't bad. It was still a fun ride, but I definitely kind of like, it definitely was pretty obvious what was going to happen and what they were going to do. But it's a kid's movie, so it's probably fine. It's just something that kind of like made me disappointed because I was hoping they would like throw me for a loop. The second thing I didn't love as much, the ending is just okay. It's fine. It fits with the messages, but I thought the ending could have been a little bit more interesting, a little bit more dramatic. It built on what you learned during the movie, but it wasn't as kind of big as I was hoping it would be. Given some of the themes and some of the build up to it, I thought the ending was going to be much bigger than it actually was. And the last thing I didn't love as much, there were some references that were, I think, pretty clearly aimed at like Disney. I don't know if they were homages or if they were just kind of like jabs at them, but it was a little bit weird because I feel like DreamWorks has plenty of their own stories that they can pull from, plenty of their own things that they can put in their movie. It was weird that there were a couple references, at least that I noticed, there might be more, that were pretty clearly directed at Disney movies. It felt a little bit like a little brother trying to kind of like showcase what they can do. That being said, Ruby Gillman Teenage Kraken comes to theaters on June 30th, 2023. Like I said, it's a fun movie. It's cute. It's definitely something that you can take your kids to and the whole family will enjoy. So I liked it. My kids liked it. If you check it out, let me know what you think. Let me know your thoughts. I'd love to hear them. I'm going to go into the ending right now. So if you don't know what happens in this movie, I would turn it off now because there will be spoilers. So like I said, Ruby and her family are all living in this like seaside town. I think it was like called Oceanside. I'm not 100% sure, but I think it was like Oceanside. So her family is kind of hiding in plain sight. They're a little bit off, but if anyone asks, they just say, "Oh, we're from Canada, eh?" And then everyone's like, "Oh, okay, that makes sense," which I thought was pretty clever. That was a fun little joke for like adults to get as well. But Ruby is Ruby's going through high school. She has the normal high school issues that you have, but then she also has kind of an overbearing mother who does not let her go anywhere near the ocean for some reason. She doesn't know why. All she knows is that she cannot go near the ocean. This is a problem for her because her prom is going to be on a boat, and that is on the ocean. So technically, it doesn't break the rule, but she is worried that her mother is going to say no. And wouldn't you know it, her mother would say no. But this all changes when the person that she wants to ask to prom has an accident, kind of caused by Ruby, but it's a lovable accident. And he gets thrown into the water. And when he doesn't like come up quickly, she jumps in to save him. And that's when all chaos breaks out. When she jumps in, there's this like wave of energy that shoots through the water. She gets in, she saves him, but before that happens, she transforms. She changes into this giant purple Kraken creature. Still her, not scary, but she saves him, but then doesn't know what to do because she's this giant purple Kraken creature. A few people see her, which causes some issues, but more importantly, her mom sees her. And that's when she starts to tell her some of what is going on. Eventually, Ruby shrinks down. It's a pretty sweet scene where her mom like helps her to kind of like just deal with what's going on. But eventually she shrinks back down to normal size. And that's when she finds out that her mother and her are Krakens. Well, the whole family's Krakens, but apparently only the females in this family have this ability. When they get into the ocean, they expand, they like grow to be giant creatures, giant like Kraken creatures that have like superhuman abilities. Now, her mother doesn't want her to ever do this again. Her mother wants her to stay away from water. She says it's too dangerous. But this incident and the arrival of Ruby's uncle, who didn't know about her until she dived in and that wave of energy went through the ocean. Her uncle is a lovable character, and he tells her a little bit more about her life. She finds out she wants to go meet her grandmother, figure out what's going on, and figure out what all of this means. So fast forward, she gets down there, she meets her grandmother, she finds out that she's actually royalty. Her line are like the royal family of Krakens, and only the females in her line have this ability to transform into these giant, powerful Kraken creatures. Her grandmother can do it, her mother could do it, and now she can. And it's very important because these Krakens are like the defenders of the sea. We find out that a little bit ago, the mermaids, who are bad, evil mermaids, they're bad, tried to take over the ocean and try to bend everyone to their will using this magical trident. This trident was super powerful. It definitely caused some havoc. It killed most of like Ruby's family line. But thankfully, Ruby's mother, Agatha, was the best warrior in the ocean. She was able to best the mermaids, take the trident, and seal it away. After this, for some reason, Agatha left, went to the surface, decided to live her life on the surface and keep her daughter away from all of this world. For some reason, you don't really know why. But now that Ruby's back, her grandmother's telling her about this. And Ruby's intrigued. She's very interested in this. And she also becomes intrigued later when she meets a new friend, a person that was introduced a little bit earlier, this red-haired, like fun, vibrant character who is pretty clearly like an Ariel character. This is one of the things I was like, is a little weird because she definitely evokes like a Little Mermaid type of vibe. I thought that was a little bit silly, but in any event, turns out that she is one of these mermaids. She's one of these mermaids that Ruby's mom fought, that Ruby's grandmother fought. But she's a little different. She said that she escaped. She said she couldn't deal with the mermaid world. She wants to kind of be free, and she wanted also to find peace. She's happy that she met Ruby. She wants to like mend the ways of their two kind of worlds, stop this war between the Krakens and the mermaids and kind of find a peaceful path forward. Well, how do you do that? How do they do this? Well, this is where it was a little bit weird because she's like, oh, we should find that trident and then we can show everyone that, like, look, we can be friends. Like, we can have the trident and it won't cause any problems, which was really odd. Like, they don't need to actually have the trident. They could just be friends. And that's when you're like, okay, something is wrong here. Something bad is going to happen. They go through this like song kind of thing where they justify getting the trident, which also was like not the best logic. But in any event, Ruby decides to help her new friend get this trident so that she can end this war as well and kind of find a path of peace for both the Krakens and the mermaids. To do this, she has to get the trident from this very, very dangerous area. In order to do that, she'll need to use all of her powers. And in order to do that, she needs to get training from her grandmother, who is teaching her about all the Kraken powers that she has. So she already knows about super size. She already has super strength. The other things that she can do, she can obviously swim very fast. She can get armor on her. Like, she can get this like thick armor around her. And she has laser eyes. Pretty cool powers. Using all of these, she is able to break into the little vault or whatever that's holding the trident and get the trident. And wouldn't you know it, as soon as she saves the trident, that mermaid takes the trident and betrays her. We all knew it was coming. It was pretty obvious. Why would she need the trident to do that? And she stabs Ruby with the trident, which kind of like drains her of her color, drains her of her powers, and then leaves because she is now going to take over the seas again now that she has a trident. Turns out this was actually the queen, the original mermaid queen that Ruby's mother fought. Apparently mermaids don't age in this world for some reason. And so this was Queen Narcissa, who now has a trident and is going to finish where she left off earlier. Ruby is at the bottom of the sea, very, very hurt. And this means that the grandmother and the mother have to now fight the queen. Her mother and grandmother go to fight this Queen Narcissa, but unfortunately they can hold their own, but Queen Narcissa is pretty strong. But thankfully, while Ruby's down at the bottom of the ocean, kind of like covered in rubble, her uncle goes down to help her out. He like pulls a rock out, sees her, and she looks drained. Like there's no light in her. She looks sad. She's very upset. Ruby's really sad. She says like she should have stayed on land. She should have listened to her mother. And her Uncle Brill then talks to her about why her mom left the sea. Like her mom, her grandmother, her mom's mom, like had a path for her, had a path chosen out for her mom, and didn't want any deviation. So her mother decided to leave the ocean to kind of forge her own path, to do things her own way. She didn't want to be kind of under the control of her mother. And so he tells this to Ruby, and Ruby kind of realizes that if she would have just listened to her mom and like stayed away from the sea, she would have been doing the same thing. She would have been bound by her mom's rules, not able to choose her own path. And this, I guess, ignites something in her for some reason. I don't know why she couldn't have done this before. Like, maybe she could have just been upset that her friend betrayed her. But in any event, when this happens, she like powers up. She becomes, light again, I guess, and then breaks out of the rocks and now goes to fight as well. So while they are fighting, remember how we mentioned earlier that the prom was on a boat? Well, it turns out the prom was actually this night. So while they are fighting, the mermaid queen like does something to the Krakens, which causes a big wave to form and looks like it's going to capsize the prom ship. But as it's capsizing, here comes his hand, and Ruby emerges from the ocean and is now holding the ship above the wave. She saves all her friends. She saves everything. She puts them down. Everyone recognizes that this is Ruby because it looks like Ruby, except she's now like 45 feet tall, glowing purple, but there's still enough of a resemblance that you can see it's Ruby. Ruby joins the fight. They all start fighting the mermaid queen. Well, her mom and her grandmother had been fighting. They are drained. They're kind of both on the sideline, but now Ruby's in. She's going to take over. And as she's fighting, she uses her laser eyes on the trident. I don't know why the Krakens hadn't done this before, because they've only got like 4 powers. You'd think if you were using them all, one of them would have tried to shoot the trident, but they didn't. Ruby also uses her armor to like block the trident, which she should have had before. She should have gotten stabbed earlier. But as she's fighting, she gets pushed back and she tells her mom, we all need to use our laser eyes on the trident. And her mom's like, you can't, like, the trident can't be destroyed. I don't know why her mom thinks that. I don't know why she would say that, but that's what she said. And Ruby's like, no, we'll use all of our powers together. And I know I'm a math person. I know this exponential growth formula. it's going to break it. I also don't think that's the exponential growth formula, but it's fine. It works for this movie. They get up, they all shoot their laser eyes at the trident. Narcissa, for some reason, just tries to block with the trident. She doesn't dodge or try to get out of the way. She's just blocking with the trident. All their laser eyes focus on the trident. Boom, it blows up. Trident's done. Everything's fine. Narcissa, without the trident's powers, shrinks back down to a very small mermaid. She was a very large mermaid before, able to kind of fight the Krakens. Now she's back to a small mermaid. She gets captured by this local sea captain who has been hunting sea monsters, and now he has his own sea monster. Now the threat's gone, the family makes up, everyone's happy. The mom apologizes to Ruby for not telling her the truth earlier. And then she says, like, I think you can go make your last dance. And so Ruby goes to the prom. She'd been stressing about the prom before, but then she started turning into a Kraken and had some bigger problems. But now she gets back on the ship. She's normal size. She's in this like flowing, shimmering dress that looks very similar to her as a Kraken. It's a really kind of like nice transition. And she finds the person that she liked, that she wanted to ask to prom, and they kind of ask each other at the same time. They start dancing. It's a cute ending. She makes her prom. She is now like fitting in. Everyone knows her secret, but they all accept her. It's a nice, cute ending. And afterwards, we see that the entire town of Oceanside has embraced the Kraken that lives there. The school mascot turns into a Kraken. Everyone kind of like accepts Ruby for who she is. But she's also still a like royal Kraken, and she is an ocean defender. So as the movie ends, a new threat emerges, and Ruby jumps into action, jumps into the water, gets ready to defend. That's Ruby Gillman, Teenage Kraken. Like I said, it's cute, it's fun, it's definitely an enjoyable movie. So check it out if you want to. And oh, there are no stingers, so don't. There's some cute kind of like concept art that plays during the credits. So watch that. And the credits are very kind of bright and vibrant, which fits with the theme. Like there's a lot of like color streaks in the regular normal credits, but there's nothing at the end. So if you don't want to see any of that, you can leave. You're not going to miss anything. But that's Ruby Gillman, Teenage Kraken. It comes to theaters on June 30th, 2023. And thanks so much for watching. If you liked this review, please like and subscribe to this channel. It helps me out a lot. Make sure all my new content goes straight to you. Thank you.